Welcome to the Body Bag Podcast. And today we are starting something new for season 5. It is going to be me, one host, Broke Rider Dave, against my co host, Chris Thomas.
We've had little verses before, but this time there are actual stakes.
Yes, so throughout the season, there's going to be 5 of these episodes. We're each going to pick a movie, and whichever movie gets the highest rating from us is going to win. So whoever gets best out of 5
So there's
will,
technically 10. There's technically going to be 10 movies being reviewed.
yeah,
Five between.
5 episodes, 10
Yeah,
movies, one winner. And that winner gets a special prize of having complete creative control of season 6.
I liked that you gave it some stakes this time,
Yet a reason behind it.
and that means there's no complaining. Like if and when I win, it means I can subject Dave to all the terrible movies. It'll just be 5 straight episodes of all. I still know what you did last summer. We're just going to review it 5 times.
Yeah. Whether we torture each other or try to make
Or
try
just
to
Yeah, just
do
get, or
something
just
different.
yeah, or just be like, hey, I think you deserve a little treat. I'm gonna have you
Yeah,
watch this good movie.
yeah. But
But
there are some stakes. But how this is going to work is, well, beforehand we spun a wheel, and we for this one we got holiday movies. So we're gonna review one movie, and then we're each gonna score it, and then the average of the two scores is going to be the score for that movie. Then move on to movie two, light review, score it, and the average of our two scores is gonna be a score for that movie.
and I
And
think
higher
that
score movie wins.
I think that we've been doing this for a couple of years now that we can trust each other to be, honest with our scores. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and the one that he gave me, I'm gonna be like zeros all around because I want him to have a terrible score.
We're doing an honor system, and we're becoming better film critics, so we have that some integrity in our filming critiquing. So
I will say that when we first started, we probably had a little bit of like, well, we need to either follow the grain or we have to like either go against the grain instead of just being honest with our thoughts.
yeah,
We've come into our own of being like, hey, look, I'll be honest with you. I either like this movie and everybody else doesn't, or I don't like this movie, or I'm part of the crowd and I do like it if and everybody else does. It's just
I'm like one of the few that like the movie. Like Halloween 5 is gets shit on all the time, and I think it's awesome.
hmm
Even though filming in that movie is a dumpster fire, but if we ever review that movie, I'll get into that. But
yeah, we've shared our guilty pleasures. Like
yeah,
the 2009 Black Christmas is a bad movie, but I still like it.
yeah, we enjoy the hell out of that movie.
I mean, anything was going to beat 2019's Black Christmas. So.
Oh, definitely.
But as Dave said before, we spun the wheel and we determined that for this, it's going to be 5 different episodes, 5 different genres, and the first one is holiday horror. We contemplated, and now these have to be movies that neither of us have seen. Is that right?
Uh,
Or like I recommend one that you haven't seen
no, it just hasn't. They can't be any movies that we have previously,
reviewed.
on the podcast.
All right, so Dave gave me Happy Death Day, which is about birthdays, but I'll allow it. Holiday.
Yeah, and you gave me Violent Night.
Recent movie. Both of these are
Yeah,
more recent movies, which we do recent movies too. It's not
yeah.
just movies that were made in the 90s and early
Well, I
2000s.
think Happy Death Day was either 2017 or 2018.
I think it was 2018.
Yeah. All right.
So who do you want to get kicked off first?
Let's start off with Violent Night.
All right, so Violent Night was my pick for you, and
Yeah,
if I think my default was going to be Trick or Treat if we hadn't have reviewed it already.
yeah,
But this one
yeah,
I was happy with. It was a pleasant surprise for me. But it was the first time you watched it.
yeah.
Uh,
I didn't see it, this past Christmas season when it came out. So just watching it now in the middle of June, and I gotta say, it's a fun Christmas movie.
I've heard it been compared as like Die Hard, but more Christmassy.
I could see that. Yeah,
It has that same kind of feel. And Die Hard takes place at Christmas too.
yeah. Basically, Violent Night. You have Santa Claus down on his luck, kind of just over the
He's
whole
just
commercialization of Christmas.
he is just over it. He's at a bar. He's drinking. He's just like. Uh, he's not on the same level as like Billy Bob Thornton and Bad Santa, but he's slowly getting there.
He's getting there, and he's delivering gifts. Gets to this one big manor of the rich, was it Lightscope family?
I think so. I have to relook at that.
Yeah, Light Scope or Light Hope, something like that. Just basically, they're like the Gates family. Super, super wealthy family.
And not really that likable.
No. And while Santa's there, this house gets raided with a bunch of people.
By the pest himself, John Leguizamo.
Yeah. I could never think of his name, but I always enjoy his acting.
Oh, John?
Yeah. He's one of those actors where I don't know how I'll never remember him, but as soon as I see him on screen, I get excited.
Oh, I've seen him in plenty of things I could
Yeah, he's in a
rattle
bunch
off.
of things. Yeah.
And Santa Claus played by David Harbour,
Yeah.
who's getting a lot of popularity as of late, which is good with me.
Yeah. Having a resurgence thanks to Stranger Things.
And just a quick little side shout out, since we're talking about horror movies and David Harbour is in this one. I just saw a movie with him 2 weeks ago called We Have a Ghost, in which he plays a ghost in that movie, which I thought he was really good in that. Just a little shout out to David Harbour.
That's on Netflix, right?
That's on Netflix.
Yeah, I was looking for like Happy Death Day last night. I saw I tried to see if it was on Netflix. I saw that one. I was like, looks pretty good. I might have to watch it.
Well, once you watch it, you can read my shout out or my review of it on Insta.
Yeah. So when this family starts getting robbed, Santa Claus tries to leave with his magic, but
Oh yeah, he was very much a coward.
he just doesn't quite have the Christmas magic. It's not quite there.
Plus, he's like half drunk.
Yeah. So as he's trying to escape, one of the guys catches him and they ensues into a fight. And the guy shoots through the roof, which causes the reindeer to take off. So now Santa's stuck.
Santa is stuck in a mansion with a bunch of people trying to raid and rob the house with guns and all sorts of business.
Yeah. And now Santa he's kind of sort of choosing to fight back. And he finds a radio. He's trying to scan the channels to get to the police radio. But he gets to the radio frequency, which has the little girl who got a radio earlier in the day. And her dad was like, it's a direct line to Santa, just kind of.
Now,
Yeah.
now, is it because did he forget a gift, or is it that he just thought it was a cute gift to give his daughter?
It was because his daughter was sad because she didn't get a chance to write Santa a letter to tell him
Yeah, that's right.
tell what he wanted. So he found his old little walkie-talkie with the
Mhm.
headset. He's like, here you go, it's a direct line to Santa.
Painting this dude out to be like, oh well, he's at least sweet to his kid.
Makes a bunch of wrong turns, but ultimately his the dad of this little girl, his moral compass is he just wants to get his family back together. But he's a selfish character as well. But
Yeah, they're all everybody.
the whole
in,
family's terrible except for what is his name? The dad of the little girl.
I don't know. We might need
Yeah.
to. We might, if you want, like, give it a
Yeah.
second for this. Let's just bring up the cast list for a second so we can
Yeah.
just know the names. I got the
Okay,
cat-
so his name is Jason. He's
Okay.
the dad of the family, and you could tell the dad and the mother, Linda, they're separated, but Linda's still willing to bring their daughter to Jason's mother's house for Christmas to kind of make it seem like they're
keep up appearances of
you keep up appearances
like there's not really like the child is very much like the only thing keeping these two civil kind of thing. Like
yeah, and you could tell like Jason's mother
which
is
I
like
loved his mother in all honesty.
yeah, is the matriarch of the entire family. She kind of runs the show.
And everybody wants money from her.
Yeah, super wealthy. And that's why they're there, because evidently Jason's mother, Gertrude, she stole $300 million from the U.S. government and
Mhm.
hid it in her vault. And John
John Leguizamo,
Leguizamo, he doesn't have a name in the movie, he just calls himself Scrooge.
which I love.
Yeah, that's great. You know, he's been scouting this family for a really long time. You can tell he knows what he's doing, so he knows she has the money, and that's why they're there.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to compare this family to something to a different family, they're very much like the family from Knives Out,
Yes.
except for the head matriarch, which would have been the patriarch in the
Yeah,
Knives Out
Knives
movie,
Out.
who's actually likable, but nobody's really likable except for the little girl in
Yeah.
this household.
This family is very generational wealth.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're old money, like their mom. Is
Even
like old
Gertrude
money.
talked about like growing up, she had money and she had to take the business from her father. So
Yeah, it's a very cutthroat family.
yeah, like Succession. seen a couple episodes, but yeah.
So that's what we're pretty much dealing with. And now Santa is basically stuck in the mansion with the unlikable family, the little girl who's basically is the only person he's kind of keeping in touch with. He's very
Yeah.
much like the police officer in Die Hard, where they're communicating via radio. Just
Yeah.
his one little lifeline of like kind of hope as he's because he does not want to be there. Santa does not want to be there at all. He is miserable.
No. But as it goes on and he starts fighting more, he starts finding a little bit more of his Christmas spirit. And they also give some unexpected lore to Santa Claus.
I loved that.
Yeah, he used to be
A Viking.
Viking. Yeah. He says, yeah, I used to be an awful person. Like, I used to pillage, raid. I was greedy. I just want to kill people and steal money.
And he has like his own like warhammer that he like would take into battle with him.
Yeah.
And so a different take on Santa, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. And then, yeah, he just basically starts going around killing everybody.
He gets his courage up, and then he starts. Yeah, he starts taking out the bad guys.
And then the bad guys actually get into the vault, find out the money's gone. Found out Jason already stole the money from his mother.
And his mom weirdly respects it
Yeah, she was like, I had to steal the company from your grandfather, so
because
good on
everybody
you, yeah.
now Jason. Everybody is kind of also like I don't know where he is in terms of like the siblings, like if he's the youngest sibling or if he's like the middle or whatever.
Well, there's only two siblings. It's him and his sister.
Oh, I thought he had like two siblings.
No, it's him and then his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and then his sister's husband,
Mm-hmm.
who's like that failed like action hero actor.
Yeah, and they very much like they kind of treat Jason like he's a afterthought when he's there.
Yeah, like
And Jason's whole thing was that he had stolen the money from his mother, and he left a gift for her that she was supposed to open after he left. Which
on Christmas morning to say, "Hey, stole the money.
ha 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 ha.
See you later. I'm out."
And through some circumstances, she ends up opening the gift. It's it was one of those little instances where the bad guys are like, given that speech, we would always open up one present every year, that whole speech, and then mom opens it up and she's like, she smiles when she reads the note, like she respects the hustle.
Yeah, but like Jason's sister, she's your stereotypical socialite, married to an actor. Her son is like he's like influencer that kind of basically got everything through his family name, kind of like what's best to compare? Maybe like Chet Hanks.
Chet Hanks is a good good example, like very much coasting on the name.
Yeah,
and but he's an influencer. He's the kind of influencer that when I hear about reboots and stuff like that, I dread because I don't want to see like movies from like the 70s and 80s be brought into this era of influencers. That's the kind of influencers I don't like.
Yeah, and then you got Jason, who he seems kind of like a normal person for most of this movie.
Yeah, until we find out later that
he stole the money. And then you have his wife, Linda, she just wants nothing to do with this family at all.
She doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, like the sister's like, you're a gold digger. She's like, no, I'm an engineer. Like, I make money. I don't need to be ultra wealthy like you guys.
She had to be basically begged to come to this function. And it did it just for her daughter's sake, if it more than
basically,
anything. Which the daughter, in my opinion, good child actor.
Yeah.
She actually contributes to in one of the funniest scenes in the whole movie.
She home alones them.
She home alones these and she does
assassins,
She does it and you think that, oh, how cute.
Yeah.
And then it works and it just is the funniest
deadly,
thing.
Yeah.
It is the funniest thing.
See, I always love when like a throwaway line pays off in the movie because in the very beginning she's like, "Yeah, Dad, let me watch Home Alone for the first time last night."
Yeah, and it does sounds like a throwaway line, like, "Oh, that's cute. It's a Christmas thing."
But there's like Christmas movie, okay, yeah, and then she gets set up Home Alone like traps.
Turns out it works, and apparently they would be way more gruesome than you would think.
Home Alone pointed out, yeah.
Like this is the kind of like if they were to do another Home Alone movie, this is how they need to do it. Where like, no, you would be if you made it alive, you would be horribly maimed after going through this. But go on.
Yeah, and that's basically the movie. At the end, they decide to burn some of the stolen money to keep Santa warm so he could come back alive.
Yeah, Santa gets hurt, and like there's a chase that ensues because this property is an estate, so
It's huge, yeah.
it's on a bunch of land, so it's like surrounded like forest area and stuff like that. So at some point,
Yeah.
there's a chase, and using jet skis or whatever,
Yeah.
snowmobiles rather,
And Santa gets shot a bunch of times. And then the mother of the family kills the final guy. Because he's like, oh, I killed Santa. I'm about to get away with this money. She's like, no. Bang, shoots him in the head. He's dead. And they're like, oh no, Santa's dying. But
actually,
not if we believe in him. And then the whole family goes around saying they believe and he comes back alive. Yeah.
and Santa's okay.
Yeah.
But no, John. You talk about the final guy, John Leguizamo.
No. After he kills John Leguizamo is when Santa gets lit up and then
yeah, I'm not gonna say how John Leguizamo get his fate, but I'll say it.
Well, how about we go into our favorite kill of the movie now?
Okay, go ahead.
I mean,
oh wait, by the way, a shout out because Mrs. Claus gets a little shout out in the thing. We never see Mrs. Claus, but Santa gets his magic sack a little bit later,
and
it was
a little note that said, "I think you'd need this." Mrs. C, yeah.
And it was his Warhammer.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mrs. Claus is a ride or die.
Right. So, my kill of the movie?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the rollerblade decapitation.
You like a good decapitation.
I love a good decapitation, yeah.
I'm I'm trying to think, because there was 2 or 3 people who got it in the Home Alone traps.
Yeah.
I got to give it to the guy who, like, fell onto those thing of nails, so he got those nails right up his
all over his face. Yeah,
that dude. It's a nameless henchman, but he gets it a couple of times via the Home Alone trap.
Yeah,
so he did not go out easy.
No, the Home Alone traps fucked him up, and like he finally dies because he pulls a nail out of his mouth and he's just staring at it.
Yeah,
holding it up, observing in the sky, and then a bowling ball comes out of from the attic from a different trap, hit a different trenchman. Just hits the nail perfectly, goes straight into his skull.
The funny thing about these Home Alone traps is that they work, but not in the way that they were intended.
Yeah.
Like, that nail was obviously supposed to be, because she saw Home Alone, supposed to go through his foot or something. Like,
yeah.
He was supposed to climb the ladder, but no, he ended up accidentally tripping and it going through his. So the fact that.
Yeah, she didn't expect the step to break and for him to fall jaw first onto this nail.
I think that scene alone was worth my price of admission. Just that 10-minute scene of the Home Alone, her setting it up, and then that whole sequence was just hilarious to me.
I mean, this movie delivers on what it promises. It's a violent night.
Oh, before we kind of score this, what did you think of David Harbour as Santa?
So this is actually going to be a good thing in like both movies in this episode. I think he had a really good redemption arc in this movie.
Yes, I was going to say that too, because both these movies do have a redemption arc.
Yeah, and they're done fairly well.
Yes, Santa's is most definitely that he gets his
Christmas spirit back.
He gets his Christmas spirit back, and he kind of lost hope in humanity.
Yeah,
and this weirdly kind of like his interactions with the little girl, like kind of reminded him of what he's doing is for.
There's still some good people out there. Yeah.
So you like David Harbour as Santa?
Oh yeah, I like David Harbour in most things he does. So
yeah, he's the best part in a lot of the stuff that he plays in.
Yeah.
All right, so how about scores then?
All right, so
I'll let you give your whole score first, and then I'll tell you mine.
So we got technicals, enjoyment, and story.
Yeah.
All right, so technicals, I think, there's a good mix of like practical and CGI effects. It's shot fairly well, and probably going to go, I'd say 7.
Okay.
And then enjoyment, I feel like I would enjoy this more during Christmas time.
Yeah, I mean, you did watch
it in the middle of June, so...
And it was a lot, because I saw it in the theater, so there was an energy that I also got when I saw it in the theater, too, around Christmas time.
I'm probably going to go about a 7.
That's fine.
This is a solid movie you could put on and watch in the background year-round, evidently, so...
It's
probably better during Christmas, yeah.
It's going to be my new Christmas movie to watch every year.
I'm definitely going to have this in rotation during Christmas time now. And then story. I'd say probably give it about a 6.
I was going to say it's going to be 7s all around.
No, I'd say a 6. I mean, it's a solid story.
Yeah, it's
nothing too out there or too
A little bit of
Nothing.
Die Hard, a little bit of
Yeah,
Knives Out, a little bit of Home Alone.
yeah, it's a fun little story. Nothing amazing, but it wasn't bad by any means. So I feel like a 6 is a solid score. So that's a total of 20 out of 30 for me. What are your scores?
Well, mine, it might be sevens all around for me. For me, when I think of this movie, I think a solid 7.
Yeah.
So I can't think of anything higher or lower that I would place it. So you gave it 7.76. I think mine would be 7.77.
All right.
It's like it's not the best Christmas movie out there, but I really had fun watching it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on my rotation every Christmas time. In fact, it's because I think it came out within a month or two. My new holiday thing is going to be that and Renfield.
Yeah.
Technicals, like I said, about a 7 too. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't anything super special. Usually, sevens for me is like something is done competently and I enjoyed it. It wasn't too, it didn't have something overly ambitious. It wasn't anything inept or underwhelming. It's like kind of right there between average and fantastic.
All right.
And the story, much like you said, story's easy to follow. Yeah, so like I said, sevens all around for me. So
All right. So a total 21. So Violet Night gets 20.5.
20.5, definitely a fun watch around the holidays.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking out that movie. Now it's time to move on to movie number 2.
Happy Death Day. Now,
Yes.
I know that you didn't intend for this to happen,
Yeah.
but tomorrow is my birthday.
I completely forgot about that, but yeah.
And I saw this for the first time today, and it's the day before my birthday. And I couldn't think, I couldn't think of anything more horrific than having to repeat my birthday over and over and over because
Over and over. Yeah.
it's like my least favorite day of the year.
Yeah, so quick synopsis. Every day Tree wakes up on her birthday, which, like Chris, is her least favorite day. And
Right.
it ends with her being murdered, and she wakes up and has to relive the day
It's basically Groundhog's Day, but with a
with
horror
murder.
premise.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I have to look. Is this PG-13?
I have no idea.
I would be surprised if it wasn't because there's not really any gore in this. There's no gore.
No gore.
There's no. I think she says "fuck" once.
And I think
Twice.
PG-13, you're allowed one fuck.
Yeah, so I'm fairly certain. I'm looking this up right now because I'm fairly certain that this was a PG-13 movie. PG-13.
Is
Right.
it PG-13?
It is PG-13, which I will say this because the last movie review that I recommended was 1408, which was also a PG-13 movie. This is going to go into the category of, all right, this is a good PG-13 horror movie.
Yes, this is what you want out of a PG-13 horror.
This is how you compensate for not having a lot of blood and gore in a horror movie. It was still very entertaining. And so essentially, so since you gave the thing for Violent Night, essentially her name is Teresa. She wakes up, it's her birthday, and she is, no easy way to put this, but she's a total bitch. Like
Complete bitch. She's your stereotypical sorority
yes.
college bitch. Like, you can
And
tell she's mean to everybody, yeah.
And this ain't me being misogynistic or saying that anything. Like, they go out of their way to make sure that you know that this is a very unlikable person at the very beginning. She's very much like sleeps with whoever she wants. Doesn't matter if they're married or taken or anything like that. Just puts down her fellow sorority sisters. Is just generally rude to everybody.
Yeah, she's sleeping with her professor who's married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, which for a movie like this, you kind of need, because much like with Groundhog Day, you start off with a unlikable character so that you can have an arc at the end.
Yes.
And throughout, so you see her typical day. She wakes up in some strange person's dorm room that you can tell she doesn't really remember. She was drunk the night before, ends up in his bedroom.
Yeah. She ends up in Carter's bedroom.
Yes, Carter.
Who's kind of like the side character helping her out through this. Carter's like your stereotypical good guy.
Stereotypical good guy. He's there to help her out. He's like nervous. Like she goes and like changes in front of him, and he like turns around and so he's a nice guy.
He's like in the physics department of the college, so
yeah. So it's very much the kind of guy who she wouldn't normally fraternize with.
Yeah.
So we see her throughout her day. She she goes to class, she goes to her sorority house. You see her being rude to people. You see that she's having an affair with one of her teachers. She goes back to her, or she's dodging calls from her dad because it's her birthday and she's basically flaking on him for her birthday dinner or lunch or whatever.
Well, she shares a birthday with her mother who died.
Yeah, I was gonna get.
So
that.
she just doesn't want to deal with her family at all. Her dad, yeah.
Yeah, you find that out a little bit later.
Yeah, she just doesn't care about other people's feelings at this point in the movie.
Yes. So she is leaving. She's leaving one of the parties, I think, and then she goes through, and she kind of goes off by herself through this tunnel. Which, why would you ever go through a tunnel by yourself in the middle of the night
with a music box playing in the middle of it?
That's some Pennywise shit. Like,
that's creepy. I'm like, oh, I don't like that. No.
And she basically gets attacked by this masked person wearing like a baby face mask. I think it's the mascot
college mascot. What are your thoughts on the mask?
I don't know. I kind of like it.
There's something like
creepy about it.
Exactly. Like,
it's a baby face.
It does kind of remind me of the movie Valentine. Which I saw as real young.
Like, Alone.
And the mask from that movie was the first movie that like gave me nightmares. And it kind of reminds me of that. So I'm like, I like it.
So yeah, creepy baby face mask. Yeah. And she basically gets stalked and then chased and stabbed to death. Wakes up. It's the same day again. It's the day that she just had, starting the exact same way again. And it pretty much goes from there how you would think. For the first couple times, at first she doesn't really believe it. She thinks she's going crazy. She gets killed again later on and starts over again. She thinks she's losing her mind. She's trying to figure, the movie is her trying to figure out who's killing her and why, which means she has to die a couple of times. But in a different way that I don't think has been done before, she actually comes back weaker every time she dies.
Yeah, like how she dies, she still kind of has those injuries.
Yeah, so like one time she gets drowned and she wakes up like kind of throwing up water.
Yeah.
And one time she like gets her neck snapped, or she gets hung and her neck is kind of stiff the next morning.
Oh, I thought that was a cool scene. When she doesn't get hung, she hangs herself.
Yeah, I was trying to like not.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, she'll crack her neck. Yeah,
and throughout, the only person she can really talk to is Carter. Carter's like the only one who's actually listening to it. Like, he doesn't just dismiss, well, kind of at first, but mostly how you would normally do if you heard something like that. But he sits and he helps her out. Again, nice guy. Now, as they're doing this, I'm thinking, all right, this guy is so nice. He's obviously got to be the killer. Because that's what my thought was. I was like, all right, this guy, because a lot of movies do that. Like, it's always the nice guy, which...
So the curveball,
Which, this movie's 2018, so this movie's like 5 or 6 years old, so I don't care about spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, he's a nice guy. He turns out not to be the killer.
Yeah.
And, in fact, you can slowly start seeing her and him kind of get closer and closer.
Yeah.
Like, you find out that she woke up in his bedroom in each of these scenarios, so she's thinking, oh, I was drunk at the party.
They slept together,
But he's like, no, I slept on the other bed, and I just brought you home. So yes, solid, nice guy, which I'm glad that a movie gave us a nice guy who was just a nice guy.
Yeah.
So through process of elimination, which there's a lot of people who she can think would want her dead, she's pissed off a lot of people in her life.
Yeah, and then they throw in a big red herring of, at like the university hospital, is a serial killer who murdered college girls.
Which is that standard procedure if you're gonna like treat bring them to a college hospital? Like,
well, there are a lot of university hospitals that like specialize in certain surgeries and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you like needed like something very specific, I guess you could get by that.
I just thought it was very funny. Like, this guy who is notorious for killing sorority girls, we're gonna bring him to this campus hospital surrounded by sorority girls.
Yeah. So she gets to the point where she thinks it's him. She's crossed all her other suspects off the list except for the serial killer,
which she's been getting glimpses of. Like, throughout the movie, you see on the news, there's this news of the guy at the hospital that a fellow sorority sister of hers works at, and I think also the doctor who she's been having an affair with.
Yeah, her professor also works at the hospital. Yeah.
So she's been seeing kind of like news about this guy being there. So she kind of puts it in her head, oh, this guy who's been killing this must be the guy who's killing me. So at one point, she does get the upper hand on him and kills him at one point.
Yeah.
At this point, Carter. At this point, she's told Carter a couple of times throughout the resets that this has been happening to her, and then even one of them, he tries to like save her life, but dies in the process. Yeah. So she kills herself.
So Carter doesn't die. Yeah.
So it would reset. So she eventually gets the upper hand, kills the bad guy. She celebrates, thinking that it's all over, and then Carter and her are celebrating in it's either his or her dorm.
They're in her sorority bedroom.
Yeah,
where she eats the cupcake that her roommate made for her birthday.
Yeah, that she always keeps throwing away because she's a rude person. Like she's always giving her this like happy birthday, and then she like throws it in the garbage.
Yeah,
and they're celebrating like, oh, it's just finally over. She blows out the candle, eats the cupcake, goes to sleep. Wouldn't you know it, she wakes up again, and it still happened.
Yeah, and she's freaking out, and she goes back to her sorority room. She's like, I'm just leaving town now. I'm done with this. And as she's packing, her roommates talk to her. And she's like, "Hey, it's a cupcake. Died in my sleep."
Yeah, she puts it together that this cupcake that she had eaten was basically poisoned. So the person responsible for all of this was her roommate.
Her roommate, yeah.
And why is her roommate trying to kill her? Because she's jealous of the guy she's been having an affair with, basically, right?
Yeah, she loves the professor. She's mad that the professor chose Tree over her. Yeah.
Fight ensues, and bad girl gets tossed out the window, basically.
Yeah, Tree jumps up, swings on the chandelier, kicks her out the window.
And
I love to see the sorority sisters just sitting outside enjoying her day, and boom, body splash right in front of her. Yeah.
And that's essentially kind of wraps it up. Carter and her now they're going to be going steady.
Yeah.
She kind of improved her relationship with her father, who they always had like a tension going on because of her birthday being the same day as her mom's.
Yeah.
And
she's just overall a better person.
Yes. Throughout the thing, she slowly is trying to start. She goes from being bitchy to just being kind of being like how everybody would be if they died a couple times, just being like, I don't care. Just whatever.
Yeah. And now she's like more thoughtful of other people's emotions and feelings.
Yeah, she has this conversation with Carter about how if her mom was still alive, she wouldn't like the kind of person that her daughter's become.
Yeah.
Now,
I think Jessica Roth did a pretty good job in this role.
Yes, she goes from playing unlikable to she had good range in this. I will say she turned into a pretty likable character, even to the point where she was willing to kill herself to reset the timeline just so Carter wouldn't die. Yeah. So
plus she looks a lot like Blake Lively.
I have to see them both together, but she definitely looked familiar. But yeah, I grew to kind of like her. So
yeah.
Now we'll go into kills, and there's actually plenty of kills. There's not a lot of blood. I mean, let's say for a couple of scratches here and there, a couple of squibs at one point. But this isn't a gory movie. Is this listed as a horror comedy? Because there is humor in it.
It might be. I think it should be.
If anything, it would probably be listed as a horror thriller, but there is comedy in it.
Yeah. It does play the storyline very light.
Yes. And, once she starts getting killed, she starts kind of expecting it, like, all right, it's got to happen. Now, so what of the kills do I like?
What was your favorite kill of this movie?
I'm going to say the explosion scene.
I think that one too. Yeah.
At one point, she intentionally gets herself arrested by the cops, thinking, all right, if I get arrested by the cops, then I'll be put in a jail cell. I'll be away from whoever is trying to, attack me. Cop gets run over as he puts her in the back seat of the car. And then the car that hits him kind of scrapes along the side of the car, which kind of busts the gas tank. And then Babyface takes a lit candle, blows her up. The look on her face was just basically, well, this might as well happen.
Yeah.
I've died every other way. This might as well happen. And she makes use of the one fuck per movie that you're allowed in PG-13s.
Yeah.
You get your one F-bomb.
I would have to go with when she's hit with the baseball bat. I just love the shot of her getting hit with the baseball bat, and as she's falling,
The guy's transition.
that transitions basically back to being in the bed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a nice transition.
yeah.
So scores, I guess, right?
All right, scores. What are your scores for this movie?
Scores for me, I'm actually for technicals, I'm going to give this one an 8. I thought the technicals on this one were better than Violent Night,
Okay.
which is good because again, you have to make up for your lack of blood and gore.
Yeah,
So it had actually some pretty nice looking scenes.
yeah,
Played around with the lighting because the lighting plays a part in this at one point.
yeah.
Because every day at a certain time, for some reason, like there's a power outage that goes out, and she uses that to her advantage at one point.
It's funny because that's actually explained in the sequel.
Oh yeah, which I would like to see the sequel.
It's pretty good. They explain the entire time loop and everything.
All right, well that's good. I might actually watch it after this then.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how are they going to do a sequel to this? Oh, that must be the reason why. Because all right, I'll say this: I was expecting this one scene that I keep seeing pop up, like whenever I see a meme or on TikTok. It's where she walks by this guy who's been like trying to like he's like, you haven't been returning my text, and he goes, you are gay. I'm guessing that's in the sequel because I thought it was in this one.
Well, actually, no, that scene's kind of in this movie. It's that one
No,
guy.
there's a specific scene though where she like comes up to the dude and he's like, "Hey, you haven't returned my phone." And she just looks at him and goes, "You are gay." Uh, it's a small scene,
Yeah.
and I keep thinking I was like waiting for that scene to come up because I always thought that was funny. I always saw it out of context, but that must be in the sequel if the sequel's with the same person.
Yeah, it's the same people in the sequel.
All right, so I'll all right. So I'll text you if that's what I'm thinking when I see. So technicals, I'm going to give an 8.
Okay.
I thought they made up for the blood and gore with some nice camera work. You hear the creepy rendition of "Happy Birthday to You" with the creepy music box,
Yeah.
and like I said, even they use the lighting to their advantage. So, story. I don't know. There's a couple things that. Well, I didn't really like the reveal of who it was. the being the now that might be more enjoyment, but the story itself, I'm gonna give a 7.
Okay.
Story itself was 7. It was you got your redemption arc, which was good. You know, you see
Yeah.
her unlikable, you don't like her, and
Yeah.
then you grow to see her. You see the reason why she is how she is, and she slowly starts to become a better person. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that that's a 7. Nice, you know, it was
Yeah.
a okay story, and I do love movies that play around with time. So
Yeah.
like I love Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
So. And I was waiting for them to drop the name Groundhog's Day, which they hesitated to do that until the very end, which I thought was good. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, because that's the obvious thing to compare it to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And enjoyment, I'm gonna say 7 again. I'm gonna say 7
Okay.
again. So this one actually, for me, is probably like 1 point higher than Violent Night in terms of I thought it had better camera work. But I enjoyed it about the same, and I thought the story was about the same.
Okay. So 22 out of 30 from you.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, in the technicals, yeah, I probably feel about it's good. I'd probably still give it a 7. Oh, a little transition shot. There's something that blew me away too much, but
I thought it had a little bit more creative shots than Violent Night did, though.
yeah. And then story, I'd probably give it a 7. But there's one thing that irritates me about the story is it's shown she doesn't like to celebrate her birthday,
Yes.
but her fucking ringtone is, "Hey, it's my birthday."
Oh, it got changed. They mentioned that it was her roommate that changed it.
Did they? I was, yeah.
She mentioned that it was like the first day that it was her roommate that changed her ringtone.
Okay, yeah. See, I didn't catch that part. I'm like,
Yeah, she was like because she brought her the cupcake and everything like that. So she also mentioned that it was her the roommate, the one who did the whole thing. It was her kind of fucking with her basically. It was kind of like probably like her being like ha ha ha. She doesn't know I'm gonna kill her. I'm gonna even put happy birthday as her ringtone.
yeah. So, but stories, it's a good story.
It's a good story. I would say
And
that one thing
even with the time loop, it doesn't get too convoluted. So,
and they don't. There's a nice little montage with her dying and stuff like that, which is pretty entertaining. While she's trying to like narrow down the suspect list, but it's not overly. I think they said that she died about like 16 times,
Yeah, 16 times, I think it was.
but you don't see every single time. I don't think.
No.
Um,
No, but something with the time loop, you do gotta have the time loop montage in it.
yeah, I will
And
say.
then
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. And then enjoyment, I'd probably 7. It's an
Hmm.
enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Definitely a movie you could, put on and enjoy it anytime. So 7 is across the board for me. So
7 across the boards and 7, 7, and 8 with me.
yeah, so total score is a 21.5.
So exactly 1 point higher than Violent Night
Yeah, just beating out Violent Night.
by
Close
1 point.
battle, 1 point, yes.
Yeah, because when I was watching this, I was like, you know what? I kind of got the same amount of enjoyment watching this that I did Violent Night.
Yeah.
They're both, one's super bloody, one isn't. One has a little bit better technicals, one's pretty okay, but they both have redemption arcs. So they were weirdly very similar movies. Weirdly.
Yeah. All right.
So a good way to Dave, you take the lead, starting us off in this versus battle.
Do you have your wheel up and ready to go to see what our next subgenre is?
I do have the wheel. I got it right here. Let me just turn on the. Let me just turn it up a little bit so we can hear it. All right, so we are spinning now to see what our next genre pick is for our verses. Post-apocalyptic.
Post-apocalyptic. Okay. We do have some options here.
Okay, post-apocalyptic.
28 weeks later.
Fuck, I was about to say I was about to say that one. I was just about to say, I was like, zombies. Oh, 28. I was either going to do 28 days or 28 weeks later. Damn it. All right. Because there's a fine line between, like, there's post-apocalyptic ones and there's zombie movies, but there's also zombie movies that aren't necessarily post-apocalyptic because the virus is just breaking out.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say that Night of the Living Dead is post-apocalyptic because it's happening.
Yeah. Like, I was going to say 2012, but I know that's one of those bad movies that a lot of people don't like and I love, so.
I remember seeing it. I thought the movie was okay.
Yeah.
It's long, but I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I just know a lot of people didn't like it. I was like, I'm not going to go with that one, but yeah.
I probably got about as much enjoyment out of that as I did, like, Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Post-apocalyptic. I might need a couple minutes to think of one. So you said 28 weeks later.
If you want to use Google, that's okay.
Though I kind of like, I like to try to think of these movies right off the top of my head. Yeah. I'll tell you what my backup one will be. If I can't think of one, my backup one was going to be I Am Legend. All right. For this one time, I will use Google.
I mean, if you want to do 28 days later, we could do that. That'd be a good one.
What, 28 days versus 28 weeks?
Yeah.
Nah. These gotta be different.
Yeah.
See, the other one that was gonna come to my mind that I was gonna say was War of the Worlds, but that's not necessarily post-apocalyptic. That one's alien invasion.
Yeah.
I would have said, but we already reviewed It Comes at Night.
Yeah.
Oh, A Quiet Place.
All right.
There we go. I'm glad. Okay, good old Google. Old Google saves the day. Because I was thinking, all right, he did zombies. I want to try to do aliens.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot about A Quiet Place, which I have seen. So yeah. So next episode of Versus, it is 28 weeks later versus A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
That'll be a good one.
I think it'll be another close one as well. So
I'm gonna have to rewatch both of them. It's been a while.
Same here. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen A Quiet Place.
I haven't seen it since it hit theaters, and I went and saw it.
Like, I'm definitely gonna probably watch 28 Days and go right into 28 Weeks.
And probably after this, I'm gonna go right into watching Happy Death Day to You.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid sequel.
I'll text you once it's done and be like, all right. So I will watch it, and then before we start next episode, I'll give a little bit of like what I thought about the sequel.
All right.
All right, but I'm gonna enjoy doing these verses.
Yeah.
Trying to be as unbiased as possible with our picks.
Yeah, and I think we did a pretty good job here.
Yeah, I mean, when I was sitting there thinking, I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I gotta say, like, the camera work and technicals were a little bit better in this one.
All right.
But enjoyed it about as much.
So 1 down, 4 to go.
1 down, 4
and
to go.
We thank you guys for listening. Have a good week, everybody.
See ya.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.